Hi, I'm Jim Kane, and I'm running for re-election to the Shrewsbury Board of Selectmen. I'm in a contested race, and I need your support on May 1st. Our town is well managed and is on the right, reasonable, and responsible path for a strong future. 15 years ago, my wife Hannah and I chose to raise our family in Shrewsbury. We have 3 young children thriving in the Shrewsbury public school system. Over the years, each of us has sought to contribute to our community in a reasonable and positive fashion. Hannah has worked tirelessly in our public schools and raising money not only for the public schools, but also for the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. I've worked with the Veterans Council on raising money for the World War I monument, and also have coached my children's soccer and baseball teams. I'm seeking my second term on the Board of Selectmen to continue my record of positive service to our community. I'm proud of my first term on the board and proud of how I've handled the issues that have come before our board. Active leadership for Shrewsbury is how I want to be remembered. As I consider the role of the Board of Selectmen, I think it's critical to think of not only the immediate, but also the near and the long term. Having a plan for the future is critically important. I led the effort to recognize the likely closing of the Glavin Center and the United States Postal Service. And we changed that underlying zoning to protect our community from unplanned residential growth. Our school system and our town simply could not absorb the impacts of several hundred housing units. The zoning will also greatly enhance our commercial tax base into the future. I took a leadership position and pushed for our town to deal with the Sherwood Middle School. As a member of the Board of Selectmen, you have to prioritize. I prioritized a new middle school over a new library at that time. What do we have now? We have a new middle school under budget, ahead of schedule, and with the Commonwealth paying 53% of the bill. Others would have had only Shrewsbury taxpayers foot an utterly infeasible renovation plan. I haven't taken a henny-penny approach to the long-term challenges of our community. We have a retirement liability and a post-retirement health care obligation that we are managing, and we're managing well into the future. Our retirement liability will be fully funded by 2022, and we're years ahead of other systems in funding our post-employment health care obligations. As I said, both obligations can be managed and are being managed. I think it's my commitment to business-like action that has been my greatest accomplishment while serving on the board. As I look ahead, I see the most important issue facing us is how we deal with unfunded mandates from our state and federal governments. They have a pattern of offering up their great ideas with no money to back up required actions. It's a pathetic state of affairs when local governments fear state and federal budget processes and the actions of their faceless bureaucracies. Pick an issue, from the all-out abdication of responsibility of the Commonwealth for the cost of special education and the result of pitting child against child, or the fact that the feds use the EPA, a faceless bureaucracy, to issue new rules for water and wastewater and stormwater standards while not providing any of the matching money. Having said that, it's not enough to simply complain about it. My colleagues and I have organized a regional effort to try to get a stronger voice for Central Massachusetts with state and federal officials. And our town, led by our town manager and town engineer, have had a direct effort in working with EPA to ensure that they actually recognize the costs of their great ideas before implementing them. And there's great news on that. EPA has held off on the latest idea regarding stormwater regulations. Those regulations would have forced Shrewsbury to create yet another utility. It was our active leadership on a regional basis that assisted in blocking that unfair action. In closing, please consider the quality of leadership as being a key to serving on the Board of Selectmen. Leadership that's independent, hardworking, and delivers outcomes, not just rhetoric. I'm running for what I think are all the right reasons. I'm running to ensure we have a balance across our town. I want to ensure that my children enjoy a top-notch education while ensuring our fire stations are fully staffed and we have a full complement of police officers across our community. In my mind, it's about achieving balance. I'm the first to admit I do not take myself seriously, but I do take the responsibilities of being a member of the Board of Selectmen seriously. Please review the issues facing our town carefully and make an informed decision on May 1st. I have and will continue to deal with people and the issues in a straightforward, truthful fashion. I will continue to tell the truth to the people of Shrewsbury. You can count on one thing, however. Whatever I say and the positions I take, each will be based on my own independent assessment of the facts. I thank you for your time. I thank you for tuning in to Freely Speaking, and I ask for your support on May 1st. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I am Bob Holland, and I am up for re-election as a town meeting member from Precinct 8. My family and I have been a part of Shrewsbury since 1963. I am a graduate of the great class of Shrewsbury High School, 1972, and the United States Naval Academy in 1976. I served 30 years as a Navy nuclear submarine officer in command of a fast attack submarine, and then as a Commodore of a squadron of 12 units, retiring as a Navy captain. I am married to the former Anne Marie Sanders for 34 years, and we have 3 daughters, 2 of whom are Navy lieutenants on active duty. Having moved 19 times in my career, I can honestly say there is no place like home here in Shrewsbury. My dad, Ed Holland, was the Shrewsbury town engineer for 34 years, and my mom, Joan Holland, worked as a school cafeteria worker and hall monitor for over 29 years in Shrewsbury schools, and as a sales clerk at the old Fairlawn Liquors for over 30 years, where many of you out there may have made an acquaintance with her. Mom is now a happy octogenarian at Southgate, where she actively supports my re-election, as her home happens to be in my precinct. However, more importantly, she wants you to know that she fully supports Jim Kane for re-election as a selectman. My bride, Anne Marie, my youngest daughter, Carolyn, already having voted absentee as she is off at school, and I also fully support Jim in this re-election bid. Anne Marie and I are part of the sandwich generation, which means we are among those who probably end up assisting their own parents in their twilight years almost as long as they will nurture the growing years of their own children. This means we are acutely aware of what it takes to make ends meet among the elderly population. It means we carefully manage our own finances, in addition to those of our parents, to ensure we all live within our means, to maintain a satisfactory quality of life for 3 generations of family members. Jim Kane is a proactive member of this same generation, having assisted his mother through her golden years. To say he does not have insight into the needs of the senior citizens of our town would be a blatant lie. Jim has been a proponent of keeping our real estate taxes reasonable, thus protecting seniors who want to still reside in an old, comfortable homestead without being driven out through excessive taxation. Taxation increases, such as an override to force all homeowners to foot the bill for sewer improvements proposed by Jim's challenger. Jim supports the rate fees which are directly tied to the usage of water in the home or businesses, so those who use more, such as businesses, pay the fair share, vice those who use less, such as the fixed income residents who needs a low tax bill for their home each year in order to still reside within it. Seniors benefit from Jim's clear and balanced approach. Too many elders would suffer from his opponent's short-sighted proposal to roll sewer costs into additional permanent taxes. Jim has also supported pay-as-you-throw trash fees, vice burdening everyone with onerous taxation. Here, recycling is fostered. Small bags are available for elderly and empty nesters to get rid of the minimal waste they generate, and thus those who only need a basic service pay a very low price versus burdening elderly and active recyclers with taxes which do not foster proper environmental stewardship. Too bad Jim's opponent doesn't see it that way. Jim is accountable, something I like in an elected official. He reviews the town warrants, those lists of charges, bills, expenses, and other costs of government presented to the board each meeting. His opponent, when given the opportunity to exhibit his accountability while a one-term selectman, failed miserably. not reviewing where our precious tax dollars were being allocated. Shame on him. Jim Kane is a proven proactive leader. His team-building acumen and ability to listen to the many facets of an issue and then craft a succinct solution are commendable. His integrity and balanced judgment is beyond reproach. In a time when we must keenly be attentive to the attributes of our elected officials, Selectman Jim Kane is the role model which we, the voting population, should embrace. His direct, collaborative method of team building with a current board of superb public servants needs to remain on duty for the steady course to be maintained that has kept Shrewsbury on the forefront of coveted communities in which to raise a family and retire. Please vote on Tuesday, 1 May. Please choose Jim Kane for another consecutive term as selectman. And oh yes, if you vote in precinct 8, please cast one of your votes for town meeting member for me, Bob Holland, Joan Holland's little boy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ann Dagle, and I'm pleased to be speaking this evening in support of Jim Kane's re-election to our Board of Selectmen. When I supported Jim 3 years ago, I had just retired as Shrewsbury Town Clerk, and Jim was serving his 8th year as a member of the Board of Assessors. He had also served on the Fiscal Study Committee as well as the Industrial Development Commission. I believed at that time that Jim was the correct candidate for our town in these difficult economic times, and I believe today that's still to be the case. We need Jim to continue on the Board of Selectmen. Jim brought credentials to the board that include a master's degree in public administration, extensive government experience as a former member of the Marlborough City Council and its Finance Committee, and valuable business experience as vice president of a major land development corporation. In 2009, Jim took his seat on the board and required no training, no learning curve was necessary. Jim came with thorough knowledge of the budgetary process, thorough knowledge of the statutes, both state and federal, under which municipal government must operate. Jim became an immediate supporter of the Sherwood Middle School project, which today, as most people are aware, is running ahead of schedule and under budget. Jim took a proactive approach when it was rumored that the Glavin Center on Lake Street, as well as the postal facility on South Quinsigamon Avenue, might be closing. With Jim's recommendation, town meeting voted to rezone those parcels so that any future development at those locations will be in the best interest of our community. Jim supported our failed library vote, and I know he will continue seeking a means by which we can resolve the very real space issues and the enormous infrastructure issues of our library. Jim will also help us find the means of leveraging the $8 million state grant that has been awarded to our community, the funding of which will be available to us no later than fiscal 2015. Jim has organized a group of government officials from other communities to work collaboratively towards seeking relief from the unfunded state and federal mandates that are so costly to all communities. As current chairman of the board, viewers have the opportunity to observe Jim's professionalism as he chairs the meetings. He listens carefully to the pros and cons of every issue. He considers the best interest of our town on every matter that comes before the board. Jim encourages dialogue among the other members of the board, and he seeks to reach a consensus to resolve or come to a conclusion on every issue. In summary, I believe Jim Kane, in his first term, has distinguished himself as a knowledgeable, highly effective selectman for the town of Shrewsbury. I also believe that Jim's opponent has repeatedly displayed a lack of knowledge and a lack of professionalism. We need your vote for Jim Kane to continue as our selectman, and I urge you to join me on May 1 and cast a vote to re-elect Jim. If you're unable to go to the polls in person on Election Day, you can contact the town clerk at 508-841-8507 for information on obtaining an absentee ballot. I thank you for your attention, and I ask for your vote for Jim Kane on May 1st.